word to wise. Grass only greener when it's fertilized. Gave them truth in these songs, they prefer to lies. Destiny beautiful, adrift in her purple lies. You can't see me, you Stevie. Wondering how I reach more evolutions than Evie and make it look easy.
What is up, Earth's mightiest subscribers? It's Ernie, Blerd without fear. Welcome back to the channel. All right, today's video, we're going to be talking about Hellions, number 17 by Zeb Wells and Steven Segovia. And in this video, we're going to talk about what Orphan Maker did that could potentially get him exiled from Krakoa, and more importantly, why he did it. We're going to talk about all that and more right now, but first, if you want to see more awesome videos like this one, make sure you hit that subscribe button, because I post multiple videos throughout the week, plus live stream every Saturday. That way you don't miss anything. Also, we're really close to hitting 75,000 subscribers, and I want to hit that number before we get to the end of the year. So if you haven't done so already, consider becoming one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Also, if you enjoy the video, I humbly ask that you Hulk smash that like button, because it really helps the channel out. That said, let's talk about Hellions, number 17. So when we pick this book up, Orphan Maker has found himself in a very actionable position. To better explain what's going on here, the Right, which is an anti-mutant organization that debuted back in X Factor number 17 all the way back in 1987, they have abducted the Smiley child that Nanny has been taking care of. Not only that, but they also attacked Nanny and took over a ship and even tried to plunge it into the nurseries of Krakoa to kill tons of mutant children. And with Orphan Maker being scolded by Nanny, who pretty much has been projecting her anger at her own self for not being able to protect the Smiley child, she took it out on Orphan Maker, and he has made it his personal mission to retrieve the child. He's gone off on his own after the Right in Arizona, and it's making things incredibly difficult for Krakoa, because if Orphan Maker, this dangerous mutant who is unhinged at the best of times, strolls into a human-populated anti-mutant organization's base and begins killing people, well, while on one side of things, not even the governments of America particularly care for the Right, and we even learned from Emma Frost at a later point in this book that the state of Arizona, where this base is being held, they don't seem to look very favorably upon the Right either. It could easily lead for them to be able to spin this in a way that would make it less problematic for the whole of Krakoa, but it's probably not going to go that direction. Orphan Maker literally is cutting a swath through the entirety of the Right. He is literally taking down every human that he sees, and I'm gonna go ahead and tell you right now, where we have lately seen Orphan Maker with a childlike mentality, where we've seen him even act lighthearted in some aspects over the course of the previous 16 issues of Hellions, here Orphan Maker is not joking. He is back to being his more deadly, more cold and calculating self. And what we learn when Orphan Maker finally locates Nanny's husband, Dr. Murch, who is working on the Smiley child, one of the things I found incredibly surprising is that Dr. Murch just quickly hands the child over. He doesn't even put up a fight. He completely hands over the baby to Orphan Maker without even so much as a protest. And Orphan Maker feels like he's completed his mission. He feels like he's done the right thing. He feels like he has literally done everything possible to make Nanny happy and maybe care about him again, but it doesn't happen because she's so blind by her love of the Smiley child, this new child in her life she can raise up and mold in her image. She completely spurns Orphan Maker once again. Orphan Maker is simply just trying to earn Nanny's love, but it's here that we discover there's something that Smiley child has been trying to say ever since Nanny discovered him several issues ago. The Smiley child has constantly been saying the word Mew, and while at a glance it would seem as though it was just something that babies, artificial or otherwise, would likely say, all cute things tend to say the word Mew. Heck, it's even the name of a Pokemon. But this one is much more ominous. This Smiley child is not trying to say the word Mew. It's trying to say the word mutant. And even worse yet, it's trying to say mutant scum. This child, as we must remember, is the offspring of the earlier Smileys that the gang encountered in Hellions number 7 and 8. The very same Smileys that were betrayed by Krakoa when Havoc was able to broker a truce between these AI and mutants, but because Krakoa has such an anti-AI policy, Charles Xavier and Magneto weren't keen on the idea of being friends with the Smileys, and Magneto ordered Psylocke to have them destroyed, downloading a virus into their systems that essentially killed them. And this was all after the Smileys had fully come to trust the mutants and believe in them and wanted to be their allies, actually legitimately wanted to work alongside them and help them. And yet here, they felt betrayed and even recognized that they were betrayed as they were dying. So this child still recollects that betrayal because of the fact that it shares those memories with its own intelligence. To make matters worse, this child obliterates Nanny, completely destroying her with a blast of energy so potent that it cracks Nanny's shell and literally vaporizes her inside of it. Dr. Murch couldn't be more pleased with the results that he's gotten. He has access to a Smiley, an AI that, as he puts it, is a self-replicating mutant AI that hates mutants. This is something that could potentially be more dangerous than even a Sentinel, because as you look at it, this Smiley is dangerously close to being a Nimrod of some sort. It likely has the same regenerative and self-replicating abilities that Nimrods have, and it's growing at a rapid rate, and if it could reach full maturity, it could just as easily be as dangerous to the X-Men as the Nimrod on Orcus base is right now. That said, Dr. Murch, while he is feeling himself just a bit too much, Orphan Maker is going to kill him, snapping his neck, literally turning his head completely the wrong direction. He's not just going to kill Dr. Murch, he's going to kill his assistants as well. He's killed multiple people, many of the guards and soldiers of the right he's already killed, and he's not done. He's going to kill many more. Orphan Maker catches no less than 12 bodies in this issue alone, killing without mercy, without even so much as a bit of remorse. And honestly, it's hard to feel bad for any of these people that he's killing because they work for a hateful organization, an organization whose sole purpose is to wipe out mutants who have done really nothing wrong to them, up to this point. But this is where I think Orphan Maker has gone too far. Orphan Maker's not just going to kill these terrible people who work for the right. He's also going to kill 2 cops who don't really have anything to do with this at all. And once again, I'm not going to sit here and try and paint this narrative where, oh my God, it's so terrible, he's killing police officers. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that all police officers are bad, terrible, horrible people. I'm just saying we don't know what these guys have done outside of this issue. But that said, these guys had nothing to do with what's going on. They haven't engaged in anything that's going on with the right. They even kind of seem, at least the sheriff himself, seems to not even be particularly interested in helping them, and he even seems to not be particularly fond of what they're doing. I mean, he doesn't say all this out loud, but I mean, it's pretty obvious that he doesn't really have any stake in any of this. An Orphan Maker who is, still feeling this blind fit of rage, he kills both of them. Now, the sadder part in this is that he knows he shouldn't have. When the other Hellions arrive to try and, stop him from doing these terrible things, which, by the way, I find very interesting considering the fact that Psylocke initially was going to leave the Hellion. She was planning to completely exile herself from Krakoa, but when learning of what Orphan Maker was going to do, she decided to stay, if for no other reason than just to stick around long enough to stop Orphan Maker from making a terrible mistake. And while the rest of the gang falls in line too, even though Psylocke doesn't want them to come with her, it becomes a situation where maybe, just maybe, they should have let Empath come along for the ride. You see, Empath actually wanted to come help the Hellions stop Orphan Maker, but he wasn't allowed to come with them. Well, namely for the reason that he did screw over the team royally. He is directly responsible for manipulating Havoc into, for all intents and purposes, killing Psylocke's child, who, technically wasn't alive, but the data that her child was held within, that Mr. Sinister had promised to resurrect, had Quanon done everything that he desired. Empath ruined that by having Havoc destroy Sinister's clone facility and everything with it. And one of the things I did appreciate is that Quanon doesn't blame Havoc, she blames Empath. And even worse, Greycrow still wishes to kill Empath, so it's not the best idea for Empath to come along for the ride. ride, but had he been there, he probably could have stopped what was going to happen. And I think that's the hard part about this, like the hard part to swallow in all this, at least, not for us, the readers, but for the characters themselves, is that they probably do wish that they would have brought him along, because he could have very easily brought Orphan Maker down. He could have convinced him to not do what he's doing. Now, whether Empath would have done that is a whole other story, but you can tell in this comic that Empath is still salty about the fact that the rest of the team doesn't want him around. We even saw in the previous issue of Hellions number 16 that Empath, while for all his bravado that he doesn't care about anybody and that he doesn't give a shit what happens to the Hellions, we know that that's a lie. We know he actually cares. He cares what people think about him. Or maybe not people as a whole, but he does care about what the Hellions think about him. That said, Orphan Maker has made his bed and he kind of has to sleep in it. He has murdered, literally murdered at least 12 people. Krakoa is not going to see that lightly, and Orphan Maker is very likely going to go away for a while. Now, yes, there are extenuating circumstances that could maybe, I don't know, get him a more lenient result being laid down against him, but I don't know, man, it's hard to say. And with Hellions literally on the verge of ending by this time next month, I don't know, man. It's hard to say how this is going to play out, but I just don't see Orphan Maker hanging around much longer. He's very likely going to end up taking Sabretooth's old cell down in the hole. But anyways, that's my take on what happened in Hellions number 17. If you enjoyed this video, Hulk smash that like button and make sure to share this video all over the internet and with all your friends so that they'll know how you leveled up your comic book big brain in regards to Hellions number 17. On your way out, make sure to hit that subscribe button because I want to try and hit 75,000 subscribers before we reach the end of the year. It's something that we're relatively close to, and I honestly think that we can make it happen. So if you've been on the fence about subscribing for a long time, consider becoming one of Earth's mightiest subscribers. Anyways, let me know what you thought about Hellions number 17. Keep it plus ultra and sound off in the comments.